The premiere episode of Unlocked Family Secrets delivers an emotionally devastating story that exposes how deeply buried secrets can destroy even the most seemingly perfect families. Through the lens of Lydia Meredith's incredible journey, viewers witness the complete unraveling of what appeared to be an ideal Christian family when her husband's hidden sexuality and decades of lies finally came to light. This episode proves that sometimes the people closest to us are living completely different lives behind closed doors, and the cost of keeping those secrets can be catastrophic. Lydia Meredith introduces herself as a published author, pastor, activist, and mother of 3 sons with 6 grandchildren. Looking at old family photos with her sister Cookie, she reflects on what seemed like a fairy tale life with her ex-husband Dennis. The images show a beautiful couple on motorcycles, family vacations, and church events that painted the picture of the perfect Black Christian family. But as Lydia reveals, everything that glitters ain't always gold, and their family was hiding secrets that would eventually tear them apart completely. Born in 1952 in Macon, Georgia, during the height of the Jim Crow era, Lydia grew up in a strict religious household with 9 siblings. Her father, who only completed 3rd grade, was determined that all his children would be well educated, while her mother served as the strict disciplinarian who wouldn't hesitate to deliver severe beatings for misbehavior. This upbringing shaped Lydia into what she calls the perfect kid, who focused on making straight A's and avoiding punishment. The family's entire social life revolved around church activities, attending Bible study on Wednesdays, a choir rehearsal on Fridays, and services on Sundays. After earning her engineering degree and master's from Vanderbilt University, Lydia moved to Birmingham, Alabama, for a new job opportunity. Her life seemed to be progressing according to plan until her serious boyfriend sent her a devastating "Dear John" letter, explaining he wasn't ready for commitment. It was during this heartbroken period that Lydia claims she heard an inner spiritual voice telling her that Dennis Meredith is to be your husband. This divine revelation about a man she barely knew would set the stage for decades of hidden pain. Dennis Meredith was the youth pastor at Sar Baptist Church, where Lydia sang in the choir. When they first met in 1977, Lydia wasn't interested in him romantically, despite the fact that every mother with a single daughter was pursuing him because of his impeccable style and charm. Dennis admits that Lydia wasn't typical First Lady material. She was loud, often wore raggedy jeans to church, and made more money than him. However, he was attracted to her beauty, and especially her legs. Lydia initially dismissed him because her mother had taught her to marry up, and she knew Dennis wasn't making the kind of money she wanted in a husband. The turning point came during Lydia's housewarming party for her new home in a white neighborhood. Dennis attended, and Lydia's family, particularly her mother, began interrogating him about his intentions toward Lydia. Her mother bluntly told Dennis that Lydia might think about marrying him, which caught him completely off guard. The relationship shifted when Dennis came to fix Lydia's television, and she cooked for him. Dennis recalls being so impressed with her cooking skills that he thought, I better marry her. After some back and forth about the timing of marriage and prayer sessions, Dennis proposed, and they were married in December 1978, in what Lydia describes as the most beautiful wedding the church had ever seen. The early years of marriage seemed idyllic. They immediately started having children, with Taylor born in November 1979 and Micah in February 1981. Dennis secured his first church position at Mount Zion Baptist Church, and Lydia describes this period as the best years of my life. She emphasizes how amazing their sex life was, how wonderful Dennis was as a father, and how perfect their family appeared to be. Dennis was thriving as a pastor, they had 2 beautiful sons, and their marriage seemed to be everything Lydia had dreamed of. However, this perfect facade began to crumble in 1983 when Lydia received a shocking phone call at 2 a.m. informing her that Dennis had been arrested. She couldn't believe that her husband, a respected pastor and devoted family man, could be involved in any kind of scandal. The police explained that Dennis had been caught soliciting a male undercover officer in a theater, though Dennis claims it was entrapment. When Lydia picked him up from jail, she found him with his head hung down, crying uncontrollably. The revelation that her husband had been engaging in homosexual activity completely blindsided her, especially given their active and satisfying sex life. Dennis's arrest created the first major crack in their marriage's foundation. He cried during the entire ride home from the police station while Lydia remained completely silent, trying to process what had happened. Dennis's immediate concern wasn't about getting help or being honest about his sexuality, but rather about not losing his marriage, children, and church position. He apologized profusely and promised never to do it again. And Lydia chose to believe him because she desperately wanted to put the painful experience behind them. The couple agreed to keep the arrest secret to protect Dennis's position at Mount Zion Baptist Church, where exposure would likely have resulted in his immediate removal. Seeking a fresh start, and to escape the potential for scandal, Dennis applied to seminaries and eventually chose to move the family to California. Lydia describes this period as getting their groove back. Vav and Dennis seemed to be thriving in his seminary studies while serving as pastor at Mount Calvary Baptist Church in Oakland. They welcomed their 3rd son, Eddie, and Dennis embarked on a month-long missionary trip to Africa that seemed to reinvigorate his passion for ministry. During this time, Dennis began traveling frequently with other pastors, which gave him more opportunities to pursue his hidden desires while maintaining his public image as a devoted husband and father. The family appeared to be the perfect example of a close-knit, loving Christian household. Their sons recall their parents being extremely affectionate with each other, taking annual family trips, and maintaining strong family bonds. However, this period of apparent stability was shattered again in 1991 when Lydia discovered a gay pornographic video in their garage. When confronted, Dennis initially tried to dismiss it as simply porn that he liked to watch, claiming he had looked at pornography his entire life. This discovery forced Lydia to connect the dots between this behavior and his arrest 8 years earlier, creating another crisis point in their marriage. After arguing all day and night about the video discovery, Dennis made a fateful decision to tell Lydia the complete truth about his sexuality and secret life. Calling her at work, he asked if she was willing to hear everything, and they arranged to meet at home that evening. In their bedroom, with Dennis sitting in an orange chair, he confessed that he was bisexual and had been having sex with men throughout their entire marriage. He revealed the full extent of his infidelity, his sexual encounters with men, and his struggle with his identity. Despite the devastating nature of these revelations, Lydia chose to believe Dennis when he claimed it was just sex, and that he loved her and wanted to keep their family together. Determined to save their marriage, Lydia and Dennis sought help through conversion therapy at the Meyer, Mirth and Bayer Clinic in Los Angeles. However, the treatment approach involved giving Dennis medication to suppress his sex drive, which both he and Lydia rejected because they enjoyed their intimate relationship. They eventually found a therapist who diagnosed Lydia as a workaholic and Dennis as a sex addict, and they committed to working on their issues for the sake of their marriage and family. Lydia focused on achieving better work-life balance, while Dennis promised to stop having sexual encounters outside their relationship. Unfortunately, Dennis reveals that despite going through therapy and making promises to change, he ultimately decided to embrace his bisexuality rather than fight it. He continued having affairs while letting Lydia believe he had changed, essentially living a double life for years. Lydia remained completely unaware of his continued infidelity, seeing only what appeared to be a faithful husband and loving father. She was determined to keep their family secrets hidden and maintain the appearance of normalcy, much like her own mother had protected her father's infidelities. The family's move to Atlanta in 1994 marked the beginning of Dennis's most successful period as a pastor, taking over Tabernacle Baptist Church, which initially had mostly empty seats. Dennis's powerful preaching style quickly attracted massive crowds. Lydia worked alongside him as church administrator, and together they grew the congregation from about 120 people to over 800 members. The church became a mega church success story, and the Meredith family appeared to be at the height of their influence and prosperity. They built a 7-bedroom, 5-bathroom dream house, drove Mercedes cars, and took luxurious family vacations, living what Dennis describes as the life. However, Dennis's success and growing power began to corrupt him. He started going berserk, staying out late, coming home at all hours, and becoming increasingly reckless with his secret sexual encounters. The breaking point came when Dennis informed Lydia that he had contracted gonorrhea and she needed to get tested. This revelation devastated Lydia, who realized that despite all their therapy and his promises, Dennis had never stopped his risky sexual behavior. The even more heartbreaking was the discovery that Dennis was having an affair with LeVar, a man he had convinced Lydia to hire at their church's child care center, meaning he had been bringing his lover directly into their family and professional life. The family faced another crisis in 2000 when their son Micah came out as gay during his freshman year at college. While Dennis was accepting of Micah's sexuality, given his own experiences, Lydia struggled with fear for her son's safety, especially regarding HIV risks. Her fears proved justified when Micah contracted HIV at age 20, creating one of the most horrific moments in Lydia's life. The family rallied around Micah, but this crisis also highlighted the hypocrisy of Dennis counseling his son to live his truth while continuing to live a lie himself. By 2005, rumors about Dennis's sexuality and affairs were spreading throughout the church and community like wildfire. Church members were openly questioning Dennis about his sexual orientation, and even his own mother was making pointed comments about his behavior during sermons. The relationship with LeVar had become Dennis's primary focus, and he was no longer trying to hide his priorities. Lydia finally reached her breaking point and decided she could no longer be the keeper of family secrets. Unlike her mother, who had protected her father's infidelities, Lydia chose to tell her sons the truth about their father's double life. The revelation destroyed any remaining illusions about their perfect family. Eddie recalls the shock of learning that his father had been messing around with some man, while Taylor describes feeling like his stomach dropped to his feet. The family was completely fractured by the truth, with the sons feeling betrayed by years of deception and Dennis's apparent choice of his new relationship over the family that had supported him through everything. Lydia filed for divorce in 2007, marking the end of nearly 30 years of marriage built on secrets and lies. Dennis's decision to publicly introduce LeVar to the church congregation as his boyfriend created even more drama and division. While some members walked out in disgust, others embraced Dennis's honesty, and the church eventually became 85% gay. However, the damage to the family relationships was severe, with years of pain, anger, and resentment that would require extensive therapy and healing to overcome. The episode's most powerful message comes through Lydia's journey toward forgiveness and healing. After years of therapy, seminary studies, and writing her book, The Gay Preacher's Wife, Lydia realized that forgiveness was the only path to freedom and family restoration. The episode concludes with remarkable footage of Dennis, Lydia, and LeVar sharing meals and family celebrations, representing years of hard work to rebuild their relationships on a foundation of truth rather than secrets. Today, the Meredith family represents a new model of what family can look like when secrets are replaced with honesty. Lydia emphasizes that while their blended family structure is unconventional, featuring 2 dads, 6 grandchildren, 1 gay son, and 2 straight sons, it's built on love, acceptance, and complete transparency. Dennis and Lydia maintain a genuine friendship, and even LeVar has been accepted into the extended family circle. The episode serves as a powerful warning about the destructive nature of family secrets, while also offering hope for healing and redemption. Lydia's final words capture the essence of the show's message E.C. Eats. Secrets are poison, and they will kill you. Nothing but pain comes from that space. But forgiveness will set you free. Her story demonstrates that even the most devastating betrayals and deepest family wounds can be healed when people are willing to do the difficult work of confronting truth and choosing forgiveness over bitterness.